We're back on the Real Off the Record. We're on the Real News Network. And I'm Chuck D, talking to probably the most fascinating man I know, yeah. DJ Johnny Juice, John Rosado, contributor on many hip-hop classics, really in the frameworks behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. DJ culture, hip-hop culture, one of the contributing members of the co-founding of Public Enemy, and works on Yo Burmeister Show, and most importantly, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, who they say, somebody out there says, is probably the greatest rap and hip-hop album of all time. That's 21 years ago. We fast-forwarded to 2009, and DJ Johnny Juice is sitting right here, and aging. Just picking up on picking up on what we were talking about before. Father of teenage daughters, and I have a 15-year-old. And seriously, I was talking to my daughter, who you know quite well. I asked her about the Barack Obama significance. It's almost you try to instill the meaning and the significance into them. But at the same time, being born in 1993, she's only been through 2 other presidents, and this is the 3rd president, and she's used to the presidents having 8-year terms. So here we go into the 3rd president. So how do you actually get the significance into a person who doesn't have the perspective of the cold 80s of R&B? That's Reagan and Bush. And me, I go further back since I'm an old head. So I remember when Nixon and Ford and Carter and Lyndon Johnson, and I want to say Kennedy, but I'm going to stop right there.
You keep going back, right? Well, it's a good question. It's hard. It's hard to have somebody, as a third party, explain to you something that was so significant that they've never seen. You try to explain to somebody the Beatles phenomenon. Mm-hmm. They're like, what made them so special? I guess you really just had to be there. I mean, Run DMC picking up their Adidas at Madison Square Garden, mm-hmm. and everybody taking off their Adidas, putting them there. I mean, you were there.
Right.
I was there, and that's like, wow. That led to the first sneaker deal for a hip hop group. I mean, things that you have to really be there to see. It's hard to instill that in anybody because everything's relative. So the only thing you can do is teach your history, and explain what you've gone through, and hope that they can put it in the proper perspective once they get to an age where they're mature enough to understand that. And you have to leave it in their hands. And some people are mature enough to make that transition. Some people aren't. I like to think my daughters are smart enough to understand it, and I think they are. Mm-hmm. My little 6-year-old, she's grasping things a lot more significantly. The other day, some kid bought a book to school and had Malcolm X on the cover, and the first thing she said was, "Hey, that's the guy that was on the wall at Uncle Chuck's house." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what's that about? So I explained who Malcolm X was, and and she gets it, mm-hmm. But they're not all gonna get it. But you just gotta keep doing it and hope that they do the right thing.
When it comes down to the elements of hip hop, you're talking about the MCing, the graffiti, you're talking about the breakdancing, all those areas that you well proficient in. But then, the area of DJing, and it always seemed to be like the DJs were the smartest guys in the room. They had the greatest sense of the history. And they have spent, especially in black hip hop, if I could use such a term, they've been like the most absent, or they've been like the most, I guess, disrespected when it comes down to hip hop or being recognized in hip hop. Why do you think it's so? I mean, because the DJ, without the DJ, you have nothing. Well, maybe they think because you have the MC could say it all, but the MCs are saying nada.
Well, I think the reason why, you would say DJs are probably the smartest, and I would probably agree, not just because I'm a DJ, but that's probably why I wanted to be a DJ. There's a chronology that has to be known. You have to know records. You have to know what came before. You have to know that this record came out in '72, and that led to a sound that was later enhanced in 79, which led to a group that came out in '84. I was just explaining to Hig today. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yo, remember this record? And I threw on the Invisible Man's Band, right? All night thing. And I'm like, that used to be the 5 Stair Steps, right? He's like, wait a minute, 5 Stair Steps, Ooh Child, things are gonna be, yeah, and the bass player was Kenny Burke. They did Rising to the Top. Oh, I didn't know that. So that's stuff that you have to know. You have to know things to play records in a proper context of rocking a dance floor and moving people through you have to take people on a journey as a DJ. Rappers kind of replace that, unfortunately, due to the fact that music and equipment became more accessible with technology. It's still happening now. Now you got iPod DJs that you ain't got no music at all. You got to do is throw a whole bunch of songs on an iPod and just play them at a party.
Yeah, but it's your knowledge of the songs that make you rock the party.
Right, but see, the thing is, if you have an MC, you don't have to have knowledge of the songs, because your MC could fill in them gaps where you necessarily didn't have to have, you had to be able to transition properly. Now you don't. I mean, you can hear on the radio right now, somebody play a record, is there a mix? No, they start mixing, it's messed up. Yeah, it's right, it's going down, and whatever. And it's like, okay, well, you just covered that whole train wreck with an MC style delivery, and then people forget about it. It's almost like sleight of hand. It's like a magician. So what happened was the MC replaced skill. You know what I'm saying? Where the MC used to point at the skill of the DJ. When he became the center of attention, the DJ didn't, if he messed up or if he got busy, it didn't matter.